Master Detective Archives RAINCODE is a Nintendo Switch exclusive set for release on June 30th. As you can see, this game looks very similar to Danganronpa, a very popular murder mystery visual novel series, and that's because it's done by the creative team behind it. So, what's it about? Is it any good? Well, we've come to the right video, as this is another episode of Everything You Need to Know Before You Buy, a series where I gather all the news and trailers from our upcoming game, showcasing the story, the gameplay, and formulate an opinion on whether you should buy this game, giving you some guidance and knowledge. So here's everything you need to know before you buy Master Detective Archives RAINCODE. As said before, this game is developed by the creative team behind Danganronpa, more specifically Too Kyo Games, consisting of the illustrator, composer, and writer of the series, Riku Matsuzaki, Masafumi Takada, and Kazutaka Kodaka, respectively. They're also the founders of Too Kyo Games, as well as Uchikoshi Kotaro, who directed and wrote the Zero Escape series and The Somnium File series. Kodaka started planning this game in 2016. At the time, he was still in Spike Chunsoft, and after Danganronpa 3, Kodaka wanted to move on and create a new game, which led to the creation of Too Kyo Games. Initially, the game was called Enigma Archives RAINCODE back in 2021, advertised as a dark fantasy mystery game with Too Kyo Games and Spike Chunsoft co-developing it. In September 2022, during a Nintendo Direct, the game got retitled as Master Detective Archives RAINCODE, as well as showcasing what the game is about, which I'll move on to now. The game takes place in Kanai Ward, an isolated city that rains constantly, under the control of a mega corporation called Amaterasu Corporation, who handles pharmaceutical and industrial goods. A lot of mysteries that happen in there are left unsolved due to their corruption. We play as Yuma Cocohead, an amnesiac with an unknown background. The only thing that we do know is that he was sent to Kanai Ward as a detective in training at an agency in the city. Also, Yuma is haunted by a death god named Shimigami. Apparently she is contracted, but she seems friendly enough to assist Yuma with his investigations. At first, she has this ghost-like form, but she also has a human form, which I'll touch upon later in the gameplay. The agency we are sent to is called the Nocturnal Detective Agency, a branch of the World Detective Organization, a group devoted to eradicate all the world's unsolved mysteries. The organization consists of individuals called Master Detectives, and what separates them from regular detectives is that they have special abilities called Forensic Fortes. There's quite a cast of characters that will probably take a while if I went through them all. You can check out the character trailers on YouTube and the official website. I'll put the links in my source list down below in the description. Anyways, there are 10 people assigned to the agency, not including Yuma, and 9 of them are Master Detectives. I'll introduce 2 of them as an example. Melanie Goldmine is a fashionista with quite the keen intellect behind her appearance. Her forte is spiritism, using her own body as a medium to summon the dead. However, she needs to wear the clothes of the deceased in order for it to work. Allow Nightmare, on the other hand, is an individual who's cool under the pressure, allowing them to solve difficult cases through precise judgment. Their forte is post-cognition, the ability to see how a crime scene appeared at the time it was first discovered. One thing about Halara is that they only accept requests if money is involved. The leader of the World Detective Organization is a guy named Number 1. He's the one giving orders to the detectives in the agency. He's rarely seen in public and his true identity is unknown, hence why people refer him as Number 1. His forte is unknown, and it's worth knowing that our protagonist, Yuma, also has an unknown forte, of course due to his amnesia. Now you know some characters in the World Detective Organization, I want to go into a bit more detail about the antagonist of the game, Amaterasu Corporation. As said before, they control Kanai Ward and are a corrupt organization. The director, Yomi Hellsmile, is a ruthless individual who finds joy on people's misfortune. He works closely with his vice director and lover, Martino Electro, who shows no mercy for those who defy her, only obedient to Yomi. He also has a security force known as Peacekeepers, taking the role of the police in the ward. You can expect them to be just as twisted and corrupted as their leader, arresting those who oppose them unjustly and covering up their wrongdoings. Next, let's talk about the gameplay. There's most likely going to be multiple cases in the game, which will be separated into chapters. Unlike the Danganronpa series, Master Detective Archive RAINCODE is fully in 3D and will be exploring Kanai Ward throughout the game. During the cases, we'll be investigating various places, and with the help of the Master Detectives, we can gather enough clues to reach the truth. At certain points, we'll enter a mystery labyrinth, the realm where the mysteries of a case are materialized. Only Yuma and Master Detective he brings along can enter, and remember when I said Shimigami had a human form? Well, this is where it appears. It seems anyone in the mystery labyrinth can see her human form, but outside, Yuma's the only one who can see her ghost-like form. Each case will have a unique mystery labyrinth, but there are 3 elements that will be the same: moving around the labyrinth, solving puzzles in various forms, and the reasoning deathmatch. Moving around is self-explanatory. The puzzles in the mystery labyrinth are basically minigames to help you piece together the case, and they come in many forms. Majority of them will involve Shinigami, whether it's QTEs, recreating the crime scene, or playing a pop-up pirate game. Solving puzzles will allow you to progress further, and eventually you'll reach to the reasoning deathmatch. The reasoning deathmatch is a fight between Yuma and a mystery phantom of the labyrinth who resembles one of the members in Amaterasu's corporation, depending on the case. Here you have to avoid the mystery phantom's words in form of sentences arguing against Yuma's reasoning. You can dodge left or right, and if you have a master detective with you, they can aid you with their skill during the deathmatch. At one point, there'll be a contradictory statement where we could rebut with evidence gathered earlier in our investigations called solution keys, which we put in our solution blade that Yuma had to physically pull out from Shinigami's mouth. Had to let you know about that. If correct, Yuma will be able to slash that statement, winning the deathmatch. From what I saw, you only had to do it once, but I assume you'll do it multiple times in later deathmatches. If you play Danganronpa, the reasoning deathmatch is very similar to the class trials or even the rebuttal showdown. Lastly, there's a leveling system in the game called detective ranks. The rank increases every time we get detective points, just like experience points. It's likely that you get points by going through the main story, but there'll be requests that you can pick up on the side helping the troubled civilians in Kanai Ward. As your detective rank increase, you'll get skill points which are used to acquire labyrinth skills that'll help you in the mystery labyrinth, like increasing your health or easing the difficulty of a puzzle by eliminating incorrect answers. Now it's time to ask the question, should you buy Master Detective Archive's RAINCODE? But before all that, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Your support will be greatly appreciated. If you're a fan of Danganronpa or even mystery games, it's definitely worth the purchase on release. It's not an immediate must-buy, especially if you're on budget though. This is a new IP completely unrelated to Danganronpa. Maybe there'll be a reference here and there, and it could potentially be a series if received well. I'm excited to see what kind of cases Kodaka has in store for us. I should also mention that this game is being co-written by Takakuni Kitayama, who also worked with Kodaka in Danganronpa 3. He's actually a mystery fiction novelist as well as the writer for the Danganronpa Kirigiri light novel, so expect a good lineup of cases to solve. I assume each case will use different master detectives to showcase them at least once. Hopefully all detectives in the agency has a skill for the mystery labyrinth, and maybe we could bring each of them along inside, but that depends on how the story is written. Speaking of the mystery labyrinth, it's definitely going to be the main highlight of the game. It kind of reminds me of the Somnia in The Somnium Files with how it looks. The gameplay may not be everyone's cup of tea, like QTEs, and even with the wide variety of puzzles, it may become a bit repetitive. Although I understand that these puzzles are there so you're engaged when piecing the case together. The graphics looks good, and the character designs are top quality as expected by Komatsuzaki. The game is using Unreal Engine, which I believe is a different engine to the last 3D game in such a style, Ultra Despair Girls. One thing I have noticed is that the animations can look a bit static. Yuma running around is a good example, there's just something about it that looks weird. But if you could tolerate that though, it's worth keeping an eye on this game. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of everything you need to know before you buy. I've got a big video planned in September, hopefully with no delay, so subscribe and check out the channel for more. And as always, I'll see you guys next time and catch you guys later. Take care.